Houston, we have a problem.
We copy you on ground. We got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's JERANISM, back with another video for you today. Let's talk about science and their favorite holy man, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was interviewed recently and, as always, shoots himself in the hoof with his normal barrage of nonsense and doublespeak. So let's jump in and listen as he covers a few topics, including the hot topic of the day, the flat earth. Throughout, I'll explain why it is that I feel this man is so totally wrong about, well, almost every single thing he says. So let's begin, and here he is, Monsignor Tyson. I learned you something, boy.
You want to almost feel a responsibility to make people smarter about science.
Well, it's an interesting way to think about it. I think it's not a responsibility, sure, but I think of it as a duty. If I have the capacity to do so, and it could serve the greater good, then I would be irresponsible if I did not. And that's how I think about it, and that's what motivates me.
Oh, that's what motivates Neil? Aren't we lucky? Learning from the master, I feel special and privileged indeed.
First of all, I'm not a professional skeptic. I'm a professional scientist.
What? Not a professional skeptic? That's what a scientist is. Unless you push agendas and hold on to dogmas, in which case, well, you're not a scientist at all. So why should I trust you, Neil, instead of my God-given senses? Please enlighten me.
The universe is under no obligation to make sense to us. It's the observations that matter, even if they conflict what feels right to you. We have learned to trust the observations because that is the measure of reality.
It's the observations that matter? Really, Neil? This chart tells us what the universe consists of. 4% normal matter, well, that's good at least, 74% dark energy, and 21% dark matter. So 95% of the universe, and yes, I see that the chart adds up to 99%. I didn't make it, someone far smarter did, no doubt. So 95% of the universe has never been observed, yet you just said it's all about observations.
It's about measurements and observations. When they align, you don't have the luxury to cherry pick the extremes of these measurements and then declare that that's what is true.
No. You don't get to cherry pick and decide what is true. That's all that you do. It's not about measurements. It's not about observations. You have destroyed science. You have perverted what many of us were taught was unpervertible. Religion is corrupt. Education, corrupt. Politics, corrupt. Business, corrupt. And now, science. You have cherry-picked what you want to be true. I mean, where is Richard Feynman?
If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is. It doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. That's all there is to it. And we always try to guess the most likely explanation, keeping in the back of the mind the fact that if it doesn't work, then we must discuss the other possibilities.
See, Richard Feynman once said, "You see, one thing is I can live with doubt and uncertainty and not knowing. I think it's much more interesting to live not knowing than to have answers which might be wrong. I have approximate answers and possible beliefs and different degrees of certainty about different things, but I'm not absolutely sure of anything. And there are many things I don't know anything about, such as whether it means anything to ask why we're here, and what the question might mean." See, Richard Feynman was a real scientist, honest at least. He understood how science was supposed to work. Well, those days are gone. You now have people going around saying that the Big Bang is a fact, that evolution is a fact, the age of the Earth is a fact. You can't tell me what is true.
It is scientific only to say what's more likely and less likely, and not to be proving all the time possible and impossible.
So let's just take a look at the dark energy, dark matter subject. Scientists and astronomers saw that galaxies and stars were not acting as gravity says they must. So what should we do? Feynman said,
If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
even Lawrence Krauss understands what science is supposed to be. He doesn't practice it, but he can speak it.
Another major misconception about science is that science is involved with the truth. Science cannot prove something to be absolutely true. There are no absolute truths in science. That's also how it differs from religion. Science can prove things to be absolutely false. That's how science progresses, because an idea that disagrees with the evidence of experiment is false. And it's false today, and it'll be false tomorrow. But what we do in science is we get rid of all the falsehoods, and what remains has an element of truth. But even if something satisfies the test of every experiment today, and in fact that's what this young lady was referring to, it doesn't mean that we won't discover we have to modify it.
All right, so someone explain to me, please, somebody tell me how, when gravity no longer matched our observations, we invented dark matter. We invented dark energy. I mean, why can't we just throw gravity out? It's wrong. Oh wait, but the sphere, the ball. Gotcha. Gravity pulls us to the center. Oh, I get it. Why would I listen to you, Neil? We should be listening to scientists who are actually willing to admit what has happened, like Rupert Sheldrake.
The science delusion is the belief that science already understands the nature of reality in principle, leaving only the details to be filled in. This is a very widespread belief in our society. It's the kind of belief system of people who say, I don't believe in God, I believe in science. It's a belief system which has now been spread to the entire world. But there's a conflict in the heart of science between science as a method of inquiry based on reason, evidence, hypothesis, and collective investigation, and science as a belief system or a worldview. And unfortunately, the worldview aspect of science has come to inhibit and constrict the free inquiry, which is the very lifeblood of the scientific endeavor.
And so instead, we get charlatans who missed class when it was said,
If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
or
An idea that disagrees with the evidence of experiment is false.
we get Neil. Whoop-de-friggin-do. We get the NSF. What do they do again, Neil?
They get together and establish objective truths about what science tells us about our lives, our environment, about the world.
Oh, so again, you get to tell us what's true. You get to cherry pick because you know all the answers.
You know, I think the internet landed in our lap, and we all celebrated the access to information, but I don't think we foresaw one of the consequences of it, which is with brilliant search engines, you can have whatever idea, however fringy it is, type it into the search engine, and you will find every other person in the world who has exactly that same idea, giving you false affirmation of it being true. And now you say we are true and everyone else is not.
Neil, that's your entire game. This is what your secret has been. It is how you brainwashed a world. You have created an echo chamber with peer review, your royal societies, the NSF, false affirmation that gave you the belief that you were speaking the truth. Just because others have the same ideas or beliefs or wants doesn't make it true.
And what it has done is it has fractured the world. I don't know that we all saw that coming. So what we need is a tandem way in the educational system to inoculate us against being distracted by false information that's out there. This should be a fundamental part of what it is to be educated, being able to judge what is true and what is not.
Okay, and so we have to educate the youth so that they are better prepared to judge what is true and what isn't. What have you been doing in classrooms for 100 years? Can you not see that we are smelling the fraud? Who do you suggest, Neil? Who should we put in charge of teaching children how to recognize what is true and what isn't?
By the way, science literacy may be the best kind of inoculation against that, because it trains you. It's not so much what you know. Yes, you should know how an internal combustion engine works, or what evolution is, or the Big Bang. Sure, but deeper than that is science literacy is a capacity to know how to think about information and how to turn data into information into knowledge, and then knowledge perhaps into wisdom.
It's so simple. Why didn't I think of that? Teach them science is true so that they can better question what? What you taught them was fact? Give me a break.
Correct.
Invalid.
Do you realize it's just as intellectually lazy to believe everything you see as it is to deny everything you see?